Hello, folks. Hi. We are here again. We're here to talk about something that I feel like I am in the middle of experiencing right now. Something that I don't have the answers to. I don't even know what it really means just yet. I'm a little nervous, as I am every single time I do this. Tis I, Candace. I am back to talk about something that I feel like I've been experiencing lately that it's already been a whirlwind, and I feel like I am just in the beginning stages of it to a certain extent. But for whatever reason, as with practically every video that I come on here and make, I feel compelled to talk about it and put it in a YouTube video format for someone out there, or mostly, or maybe even just for myself, to reflect back on and look back on months, years down the line, to be like, I remember that time. I remember all that I was going through at that time. Let's talk about it, y'all. Ego death. Ego death. That is what I feel like I'm experiencing. Something called an ego death. And maybe I don't have the formal definition on me right now. I'll probably put somewhere on the screen somewhere the definition of ego death from what Google said. Or you could just Google it. Anyway. I feel like I'm going through a period of experiencing an ego death. Based on what I understand of it or what I looked up of it, it is not an easy process. It's not an easy experience. It can be a very humbling and scary experience. I have a more positive vibe and more positive feeling about it now that I have put a name to it, because for a little while now, that has not been the case. I have not known what I'm experiencing, but I will say I have been going through an emotional roller coaster lately. Oddly feels like it's coming out of nowhere. Like there's no one thing that I can pinpoint, like this is the reason why I feel sad about this. This is the reason that this is what's causing me to feel sad about something. It's just something that I've been experiencing and have very recently, as of 2 days ago, have been able to come to terms with. I think this is what is meant by an ego death. Now, before we get into that, there's a whole bunch of backstory that I got to tell that will slowly get us to the final goal of talking about ego death a little bit. I'm looking around because the setup that I have going on is a little janky, and I have things everywhere. I have my journal right here. I have this screen on my computer so I can see what the camera is seeing, so I keep looking down at myself. For the past few weeks, I would say a week or two, I have been going through what I felt like has been a very emotionally volatile experience. It is like one day I can be good and happy and really proud of what I'm doing and grateful about the things around me, and then the next day, sad. And then that cycle just keeps coming back. Just been like, what am I going to get today? I don't know. To give a little bit of backstory, I think I've talked about my experience with anxiety and depression. I think I am in a depressive state currently-ish, ? I don't know anymore. Now that I'm, putting a different label to what I'm experiencing right now. Let's go backstory. The term functional depression.
Okay, so FYI, the more official term is actually called high functioning depression, not functional depression. Very minor difference, but just in case anyone was trying to Google it, I want you to Google the correct terminology here.
So, functional depression is a term that I learned about in high school or early college or something like that. I've always been into mental health. I remember doing a project about depression and anxiety or something like that, and learning about functional depression and instantly feeling like I'm self-identifying, self-diagnosing, whatever, myself as someone who is functionally depressed. Someone who is able to still show up for the things that she needs to show up for, able to still move about life as if things are good, things are fine, still able to achieve whatever it is that I'm working towards, that I feel like I need to achieve, without people really knowing, or I don't know. It is kind of like a mask. I have always identified. Once I learned about that term, I was like, I think that is me, she is me is she, right? So that is going to be important in a few moments. Lately, I have been feeling periods of sadness mixed with hopelessness, which is a very generic way to describe depression in general. Not just being sad, but also feeling hopeless. I am used to that feeling as someone who was depressed in the past, but I felt like I have grown out of that for at least the last couple of years, to where when I experienced sadness, it wasn't a hopeless feeling. It was just like, I'm acknowledging that I feel sad or feel low. My energy is off right now. And I know that I know I'm going to come out of that soon, or I know that I have these practices or these habits that I have that help me not wallow in that sadness for too long. But more recently, I think I've been experiencing a feeling of sadness and hopelessness again, thus the depression. And even saying that and even recognizing that, again, this is all self-diagnosed right now. I'm not really seeking out anyone to tell me that I'm depressed or anything like that. But coming to terms with that again kind of made me feel a little bit sad too. Like, man, I thought I was out of this depressive state. You know, it wasn't ever something that I felt like you ever completely 100% let go of, but it's like kind of wild to feel this again. And I say this just meaning the depression, the sadness, and the hopelessness. Nothing more than that. Nothing more than that, to make that clear. These last few weeks, I've been having these bits of, I guess, depressive states. It's been tough. It has been really tough. It has been really difficult. It has been really challenging, but I feel like I have emerged out of that a little bit, or at least I'm hoping that I have. I don't know. I feel good today. Anyway, let me set up how I got to this term. What am I calling this? An ego death. Let me start off how I got to the point of ego death over the span of just this past weekend, okay? So this sadness was something that I was experiencing for the past few weeks, but this weekend was a little rough for me, if I'm being honest. So it was a 3-day weekend. Friday I had off, Saturday, Sunday, of course you have off. Friday comes around. I spent the entire day in bed, napping, sleeping. The entire day. That was not my plan. That was far from what I wanted to do to start off this 3-day weekend, but that is what happened. I even had plans I actually did have plans to meet up with one of my friends, and as it was coming closer and closer to the time to meet, I bailed. I did not have it in me. I had a headache. I just did not feel like being out and socializing and just none of that. I honored that I was feeling that, and again, stayed in bed all day, just being a vegetable for a day. Saturday comes around and I intentionally said to myself, I do not want to spend today like I did yesterday. I'm glad yesterday was what it was. I gave myself the space to just rest, to just do whatever I felt like I needed in that moment. I can be grateful that I honored that, but at the same time, I do not want this entire weekend to be that all over again. So got up, got myself dressed. Wasn't even completely sure what I was planning on doing for the day. I even was like, okay, I'm gonna put on a little bit of makeup. I don't do my makeup every day, but I do it when I either am trying to get into a better mood, or if I'm already in a good mood and I'm like, she could put on some concealer and mascara and maybe a little tinted moisturizer for the day. She could do that. She could do that. So I did that. Tell me why. As I am putting on my makeup, I'm listening to music, doing the finishing touches. Tears start streaming down my face. Out of nowhere, it felt like. Out of nowhere. And I am like, Candace, okay, wiping away the tears, not trying to be too hard on myself, trying to fix the makeup streaks that you now see in my, the tear streaks that you now see in my makeup. But the tears kept coming. At some point, stopped and was like looking at myself in the mirror and was like, Candace, do you want to go outside today? Do you want to go outside today? I was like telling myself, no. Not really. I don't like to be outside around people, even if I'm not meeting with anyone in particular. I just don't like to be around people when I know and can feel that my energy, my mood is just not where I want it to be. I like to feel my sadness in the comfort of my own home, where I could fully express it however it wants to be expressed. When I'm outside in public, I don't know how it's going to be expressed. So going outside seems a little dangerous to me. Dangerous in the sense of I might be crying in public, and I don't like to do that. It's happened to me a couple times, and I'm like, oh gosh, it's low-key embarrassing, but whatever. So there was that part of me that was like, no, I don't, because I'm feeling sad right now, and being outside just don't seem like the way to go. But then there's the other part of me that was like, you were inside all day yesterday, getting outside, smelling the fresh air, feeling the sun on your skin, having just some dedicated time to yourself outdoors at the park, which is what I ended up doing, usually puts me in a really good mood. So I was like, I'm going to push myself to go out to the park, to sit in the park intentionally for some time, over an hour. And I was like, I don't feel it. I feel really sad right now. I don't really want to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm wiping the tears off my face, trying to still rationalize why I'm even tearing up in the first place. And what I concluded, because I also journaled about this, and I think I'm going to read my journal entry from this day and share it with you guys. What I remember feeling like as I'm tearing up in the mirror, doing my makeup, looking at myself. So going back to the idea of functional depression, right? Being able to still get up and show up for the things that I feel like I need to do, still able to achieve the things that I need to do, still being a functioning person in society, even though I'm feeling terrible inside. That was so apparent to me while looking at myself in the mirror. In the mirror, if I take away my feelings, I'm like, oh, she's a cute girl. She looks put together. If I saw me walking down the street, I wouldn't think twice about that girl's mental state. I'll be like, oh, she's cute. Nothing else. But something about that ideal conflicting with how I'm feeling internally, feeling like crap, feeling terrible, feeling sad, regardless of what I look like, it was butting heads. It was butting heads and was making me a little upset, if I'm being honest. It was making me feel like this is why. It was making me place blame on things, people, circumstances that had nothing to do with them. It was a projection that I've come to realize, but I just remember feeling so off about that. Like, I look a particular way right now. I'm about to walk outside looking a particular way when really I am feeling not at all the way that I look. Those are the reasons for some of the tears that were coming through. Fast forward, okay? I'm getting to this park. I got to this park. I decided to go to a park that I remember going to in my childhood a few times. A park that's pretty much out the way. I could have easily gone to my neighborhood park, but was like, let me make an experience out of this. Let me drive a little bit, listen to my music. That's very calming for me. Let me get all the things that I need to spend some time in the park. I bought my journal. I bought a book that I'm reading. I bought a coloring book. I bought my tarot cards. I bought a few snacks because I did not know how long I was planning on being there. So I get to this park, right? Bunch of people, bunch of kids, like kids out the wazoo. Just so many kids. But it was fine. I was like, okay, I need to find a little secluded spot where no one is really walking around, that I could just be like, this is just me. I found that spot. I found a spot where literally there was no reason for anyone to walk near and around me unless they were coming specifically to talk to me. I purposely found a spot that was away from the hustle and bustle of what was going on in the park. Found this spot, busted out my journal, started writing pages. Normally when I journal, it's like half a page per entry, but I'm flipping, just recalling all that I experienced this morning, that particular morning. Journaling in the sun, okay? I'm trying to paint the picture. Kids around me, people passing by in a distance, not close to me, but in the distance. Tell me why, y'all. Tell me why this older man starts making his way towards me. This older man with the cane, and he we ended up having this full-on conversation, just speeding forward a little bit. 73-year-old Native American man was approaching me. But before I knew all of this, he was approaching me and he was sneezing and coughing as he was approaching me. The germaphobe in me was like, bruh, why is he coming over here? Why is this man coming over here in this area that no one is here other than me? You do not have to come over here. You're coming over here specifically for me. Why? Why? So he's but I am me. And I'm like kind of looking up, but then going back to journaling. But then I look up and eventually he gets close enough to where I'm like, hi. And I have a tinge of an attitude because I did not want to be bothered. I found this spot for a reason. No one was supposed to be around me. So I said, hello. And then he walks up and he's like, I had to come over here. You look so beautiful over here. You really look like you're, sitting down, writing your next book that you're going to share with the world or something like that. And to be fair, I did look very studious. I had my legs crossed in my little chair with my glasses on, just writing. So he was like, yeah, I just had to, it's something about your energy. I just had to come over here and say that to you. And then I was like, you're kind of right. I'm just journaling though. I'm just journaling about my life right now, trying to hold back tears. trying to have this conversation with this man. And then he was like, just journaling? It's not just journaling. Do you have like little kids, little nieces and nephews and so on around you that are in your circle or whatnot? And I was like, yeah. And he said, well, yeah, that's what journaling is. Not just journaling. It is you telling a story, painting a path, painting a picture for challenges they might face in the future, challenges that younger generations might face in the future, and being able to, give them perspective into what they can do, what they can avoid, what they should do, whatever. It's not just journaling. He made that so clear. It's not just journaling. And I had some conflicting thoughts with it because I'm like, I see where he's coming from, but at the same time, my journals are not with the intent to be shared. I'm gonna be embarrassed. But I also was like, I can see what he's saying. But then he went on, long tangent with a lot of little different things. And I actually really appreciated his conversation and his presence. It was mostly about him, if I'm being honest, but I don't know. That's just always been my vibe especially with older folks older than me. I consider myself an old soul, and I don't know. I've always been I always had the listening ear for when the wise want to come share and talk to me. So that was just the experience with him. When he eventually walked away, we ended the conversation. I stopped what I was journaling about for the morning and was like, I want to journal about this man that just approached me. And I wrote a little bit about what he talked to me about, what we talked about. And as he left, I felt a little bit better. I was still fighting back tears for whatever reason. I think as I reflect on it now, I just think that interaction with him was something that I needed in that moment. For someone to just randomly see me and recognize me and want to just talk to me, share with me or whatever. It just felt good afterwards. After he left, journaled about him, and then I returned to finishing up what I was writing about for my morning. I'm going to share what I journaled about that morning, by the way. So this was on November 11th, 11/11 at 1:18 p.m. I was in the park, right?
This has been another emotional day so far, another experience of feeling really sad, but with no specific incident causing it. I spent all day yesterday in bed napping off a headache. I was a little disappointed that was the start of a 3-day weekend, but it's fine. I had every intention on pushing through and meeting up with one of my friends, but as the time approached, I just didn't have it in me. Today, I wanted a different experience. I woke up at 5:30 and debated whether I wanted to get up or stay in bed until I felt ready to start the day. I stayed in bed and fell back asleep. Woke up around 10 a.m., but around 11, I actually got up, made breakfast in silence. When I woke up the first time,
around 5:30,
I was aware of how much thinking I was doing, jumping from one thought to the next. I was laying there in the dark, in silence, doing box breathing and focusing on the sound of my air purifier to help calm my mind and keep me present.
I have an air purifier in my room that's almost always on, and it's like a subtle, it's like white noise kind of thing. So I was trying to focus on that to stop thinking so much.
It helped, and it also took a lot of effort to do.
It took a lot of effort to just be present and not think so much and just think about what I'm hearing in my room.
When I woke up the second time, I figured I'd try to do the same thing, allow my mind to be present by focusing on what I'm doing and the sounds around me. It was working, but I definitely lost it when I finally decided to sit down and eat. I'm sure I remember my specific thoughts that led me to tears, but I know this cycle of feeling good to feeling sad is a part of it. I know it's unrealistic to be happy all the time, but the constant push and pull of my emotion feels off. I didn't come close to finishing my breakfast, but I decided to put on a little makeup and get dressed and spend some time at the park. As I was applying my makeup, I kept tearing up. I've known I've had functional depression for a long time now, but something about getting myself together and doing things to get cute.
This is where I started to journal about the man. I'm not going to read what I journaled about for him specifically, but I'm going to return to what I was saying.
Something about making my external appearance look a certain way when internally I'm feeling so down rubbed me the wrong way. It made me sad to think I needed some kind of help, but felt like there's no one I could go to, no one who noticed and tried to offer a helping hand. Sad to think I constantly have to be my own savior when I'm constantly feeling lost and in need of guidance myself. I was thinking about how I want to start over, go somewhere with no ties to anyone, no connection to any friends or family, in an effort to really learn myself and be with myself. However, there are so many conflicting thoughts with that as well. Therefore, furthering the sadness I was feeling. I know I'm holding some sadness within me, within my body, but I do feel a little better.
I was starting to feel better after engaging or talking with that man. That is how I was feeling that morning. Really sad. A lot of conflicting thoughts, just a little, that was just a little bit of the thoughts that I was having. There's always a million things going through my mind at any given point in time. I'm trying to get to the point, y'all, because I really don't want this to be a super long video, but I feel like it's about to be. Fast forward, I'm spending some time in the park after journaling, I'm reading, I'm just sitting in the sun, I'm people watching, no one else is approaching me, right? At a certain point, I decide to leave, go run a few quick errands, drive back home. As I'm driving back home, I'm feeling that sadness all over again. I was good for a period of time, but as I'm approaching home, I start to feel like I want to cry again. Get home, hurry up and get in the house. I do my little techniques of, smudging. I have different things that I smudge, burn. This time I think I did like a sweet grass, walking around the house and just talking about the sadness that I was feeling in that moment, allowing my emotions to show up the way that they were, which was me crying a little bit, and then kind of like releasing it, letting it go, winding down for the rest of the day. Y'all still holding on? I promise I'm gonna get to this ego death. So I'm back home, right? Back home after the park, smudging, cried out a little bit more, or was crying a little bit more, and then finally was like, I'm just settling in to the house. I'm inside for the rest of the day. I'm just gonna be chilling. Side story, but also still relevant. I'm gonna be telling on myself just a little bit, even though ain't nothing gonna happen. When I was in college, me and my friends we had the term camaraderie, right? The word camaraderie, we were referring to, smoking that weeds. That's what we called camaraderie. We never did it together. But I have had camaraderie experiences prior to that I would tell them a little bit about. And yeah, I don't know why we called it camaraderie, but that is the term that I'm going to use for smoking the weeds moving forward right now. Camaraderie. So camaraderie is something that I do still indulge in presently, and I say indulge loosely because it's not. I don't do it with the same purpose that I did when I was younger. It really has become something, it's mostly CBD for me, but it has become something that is like a wind down, relaxing thing that is not like, that calms my mind, calms all the anxious thoughts and all the anxiety that I'm feeling, that I'm experiencing in that time. And it's really like, almost like a woo-saw kind of moment, right? On this particular day, came home after my tears, winding down for the night, camaraderie. And then after camaraderie, I'm chilling, just chilling. The thing with camaraderie for me though, this doesn't happen all the time, but it occasionally happens where my thoughts aren't the anxious thoughts, but they are, I don't know, it just feels like thoughts that are not able to surface when I am not having a camaraderie, I don't even know if that's a word, camaraderie experience. Those thoughts are able to surface and they give me new perspective, and they're just different ways of thinking about what I'm experiencing in the moment, right? That's important because out of nowhere, the term ego death came to mind. Out of nowhere. I wasn't watching anything spiritual or anything like that. I wasn't watching anything that had to do with ego death. And ego death is a term that I've heard a couple times in passing through the videos that I watch or whatever, but not recently. So ego death was like, okay, I gotta remember to look this up. Maybe an hour or so passed. I decided to look it up and instantly was like, this is what I'm experiencing. I am experiencing an ego death. In that moment, it felt like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that I have a name that I can place on what I'm experiencing right now. That is something that I've learned about myself. I could be whatever I'm experiencing, as long as I finally come to a point of like being able to call out or put a label on whatever it is, suddenly that makes my experience a little bit more easeful. Not easy, but it makes it more easeful to just to know this is what this is. Suddenly I started journaling about it. Another thing with camaraderie for me, when I'm journaling without camaraderie, I'm usually really thinking through what I'm journaling as if I am, kind of shout out to the older man that I was talking about earlier. Sometimes I do journal as if I am writing a story to someone, for someone to read. I don't want anyone to read, but sometimes I do write in that way, just naturally. Don't know why, but when camaraderie is present, it's really just free thought. I'm not thinking too deeply about what I'm writing. I'm just writing. And let me tell you what I wrote about. So this was at 4:55, the exact same day that I was at the park and whatnot.
Mentally, I've been feeling really sad and depressed. Spiritually, however, I wonder if I'm experiencing an ego death. Something within me has been grieving. For a while now, I've known that I needed to change. Habits need to change, patterns need to change. All these things need change for me to reach this person I aspire to be. Many changes I'm aware of and have been working on for a while now, but many also feel so out of reach, as if it is impossible for me to ever obtain. There's a sadness that comes when thinking about that, but there's also a sadness when thinking about who I am or who I will have to become to reach this person. Essentially, it's a fear of failure and a fear of success at the same time. I'm stuck in the middle. I'm stuck feeling like I don't want to risk giving up the things that have brought me comfort, both positive and negative. I'm afraid of the unknown, but I'm also afraid of the known. Presently, my known is the most stable, secure, free, independent I have ever felt. But oddly, at the same time, I also feel the exact opposite: unstable, fragile, stagnant, undependable. I feel like the only solution is to walk towards change slowly but surely. I guess I'm grieving the shedding of who I've been.
Something about that felt like such a relief and release at the same time. Like I think I'm in this very early stage of whatever this ego death is going to look like for me, has been looking like for me. I don't know. I don't know. But I will say ever since that, I have been feeling good. I've been feeling so much lighter. I've been feeling like, okay, I know whatever comes next may not be the easiest experience for me, but at least I can put a name to it. At least I know what to expect. At least I can like look up ego death, you know, and see if that resonates with me still. So far, I've been feeling good. I also thought it was interesting just to, like I said, while journaling, that this, what I'm labeling as a spiritual experience of this ego death is manifesting in a mental experience of depression. I don't know why, but that is so interesting to me, because now I guess to me it makes the depressive feelings, the sadness, the hopelessness feel that much lighter, because it's tied to some bigger purpose, some bigger thing that I'm going through, that I'm experiencing, that I'm walking through, that I'm navigating through. Yeah. I guess that's it. I don't know why that feels inconclusive. Like, okay, that's what you wanted to make a video about? That's what you felt so compelled to make a video about? I don't know. I'm chopping it up to, like I said earlier, I think this YouTube video thing, like I said, it's just mostly for a future version of me to look back on and be like, I'll ever look at old pictures, old videos, old whatever, it just takes you back to that time, and you can remember what you were experiencing, what you were feeling, what you may have ate, who you were with, what you were, whatever, all these other things and thoughts and emotions that are outside of what that one picture or what that one video is showing you or telling you. That's how I feel about this video. That's how I feel about this video. That's how I feel about my past videos. That's what I feel about my IG stories every time I post them. It is like in these videos, I am saying one thing, which is true, but when I look back on them down the line, I can remember so much more around this that I was not saying in the video. Like, I look back at my old videos. I say that like I have hundreds. I don't at all. But I look back at my old videos on this channel, and I'm like, those first couple videos, that was a completely different girl than who I feel like I am now. It's still me, but it's so crazy to see how in a very short period of time, I can recognize and I can see and I can feel and I understand how much I have changed and grown from the person that was recording that video to who I am now. Every now and then I like to look back at my videos and just, experience that and remember that, because it's a constant reminder that I am still growing, I am still changing, as I feel like it should be. So maybe that's what the purpose of this video is going to be. Maybe not as meaningful in this present moment, but I'm sure at some point down the line, I'll be looking back at this time and be like, girl, little did you know, this and this was about to happen for you. That's what I'm hoping. That's what I know. Anyway, I've been here for 40 minutes. I'm going to go. I don't know when I'll be back. As always, I may do a year recap. I may do a year in review recap. I don't know, because this has been a fascinating year for me, a transformative year for me. And I remember in my last year, end of the year recap video, I talked about how I felt like 2023 was going to be transformative for me, and I had no idea why. Or maybe I journaled that. I don't remember. But here I am at the end of 2023 and definitely feeling like this was a transformative year in a lot of ways that I can name, and also in a lot of ways that I can't really put words to. So if I feel so compelled, I might talk about that. I don't know. Anyway, goodbye. Hope y'all having a good one. Take care of yourselves. Love you. Bye.